whoever is going to be the president after 2012 or Xi Jinping in China. But at the end of the day, as much as we can provide additional help, support to highlight some of the issues, we're going to do the best we can and to try to promote a better U.S.-China relationship.
Well, let me just draw you out on something that you and I were speaking about before this session. We both, I think, agreed that at the heart of the tension between our two nations is America's very difficult jobs problem. And there's lots of ways we can go about trying to address this issue. We can be tough in negotiating with other countries, which in many respects is blaming them for our jobs problems. Or we can really look inside of ourselves and figure out what we need to do as a nation to improve the opportunities for American workers. Where do you come out on this?
Well, I think that's why instead of just going to the blame game, I really feel strongly that U.S., on our own, we need to get our act together. I think there are a lot of fiscal issues that we have to deal with that quite frankly, many other countries may not be able to do as much for us. But that being set aside, I think we have a great opportunities because, many of the business, the price multiple is down, or maybe real estate prices is down. America has now become extremely attractive of a place for foreign investment to invest in. More so, I think, let's go back to this U.S.-China issue. There's no better match than it is today. When I say there's no better match, is that China have this trillions of dollars of U.S. dollars putting into treasuries and U.S. government agency securities that are at a very, very low yield. And knowing that there's this, let's say, if we go back to June of last year, Chinese currency have gone up 5%. We got Chinese government get about 1% or so of yield from the U.S. Treasury. So every single day, Chinese government losing huge sum of money, billions of dollars. And investing in the United States right now, I can't find a better time. Because if you look back in the 80s, the Japanese were actively investing in the United States, but they invest in a very, I would say that not necessarily the most advantageous time. And also, back then, a lot of the investment were high-profile properties that, at the end of the day, did not sit well with the sort of the patriotic sense of the U.S. citizens. So, in my view, I think what the Chinese business and government collectively ought to do is to look at this great entryway, knowing that every day you are sitting on U.S. treasuries and losing money compared with your currency, and start actively engaging in investing in U.S., but not investing in a way to buy Rockefeller Center and then Pebble Beach and things like that get people angry. But go in there and just like what Ping Ni had done, just go into and pick up manufacturing companies at a low multiple, and you always win on these business because private equity and hedge funds require substantially a higher return. And if you do not require as high of a return, you'll be able to get a lot of these jobs and then not necessarily have to lay off a lot of workers. Mainstream Americans today need jobs. They need good health care benefit. As long as their jobs, good health care benefit, they'll tell their congressmen, say, don't you mess with China. And I think that's the key. I think if the two countries start working together, you have local government officials in the United States, one by one, taking delegation to China and match up with the business, encourage them to come invest in U.S. and find the right match. I think there will be a lot of good things that can happen.
So to borrow a phrase from our lead sponsor, you're bullish on America.
I think so.
Okay. Ping Ni, let me switch gears, and there's a question here about the Chinese automotive business, which of course now is on the front pages as being the largest auto market in the world. Here's a very specific question, though. Why don't Chinese cars have child seats in the cars?
Actually, that's beyond what my capability is. I think, frankly speaking, China is different from the United States. That's just my view. The difference is coming from the progress. There's a lot of things you can look back in China today, whether it's a copyright issue, whether it's a safety issue, whether this and that. I was asked a lot of time and to say, hey, you came to the United States and you were doing okay. So what is the device, frankly speaking, between doing a good job in the United States versus coming here and look around and go back to China? I always say this, doing business in China is different from doing business in the United States. Although I have no experience doing business in China. But I do see there's a fundamental difference. One of the fundamental difference, let's just be realistic, and it's not about which model is better. But in the last 30 years, China's economic development is all about the reform. What the reform means? Reform means breaking the law. Be aggressive. Be brave. So that's totally a different mindset. I always joke, if I was in China, I would never be able to run any business because I would bankrupt a company very quickly. The way here is more systemized. It's a well-established system, so you just need to follow the rule. But in China, it's a different set of concept. Again, as I say, it's not about which one is better. It's all about giving the environment. It's part of the process for China to get into where we are today. So that's the difference. So I guess, regarding the safety issue, it is that issue. I won't be able to sit in the passenger seat in China because I drive the driver crazy. And a few times I say, oh, come on, stop, you're going to hit somebody. The guy said, no, don't worry, what are you talking about? It's just that close. And I was joking, I say, if we can make a product with that close tolerance, I'd be very lucky. But I say, you guys can drive, that close without hitting anybody. So that's just, the process itself. I think eventually, again, we all talk about the destination. Eventually, I think when people are getting, again, this is a civilization process. When people are getting more and more income, now life is worth more. So now everybody is going to be caring about the safety issue. So I think it's a matter of time,
Yeah, I agree with you, but I always think of one thing when I get in a car in China on a fairly regular basis, that we're talking about a generation of 250 million new drivers on the road with no experience. And I still, to this day, I'll be driving in a large city, especially in Chongqing at night, where drivers don't use their headlights. It's a problem. And I'm an optimist. I'm just also being a realist here.
Sure.
Lou, here's a question for you. Why are you listing on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange? Talk to us about that. And the significance of it, too.
Well, we have been listed on the New York Stock Exchange for the past 10 or 11 years. And in thinking about what China represents to Coach in the future, we felt that there were a variety of objectives that we could meet by asking to also have the opportunity to be dual listed, in fact, as the first New York Stock Exchange company perhaps to actually be listed. The first is to show the Chinese people that we're earnest about our commitment to China, both in terms of being there for a very, very long time and in terms of creating jobs. Second, we thought that it would build awareness among consumers, particularly male consumers, so that they would have the opportunity, like Dominic, to purchase one of our men's bags.